And welcome, everybody. Welcome to all of you joining me right here on our Zoom call, and welcome to all of you joining us either live or at a different time on our social media platform. I think a lot of people now are connecting on our YouTube channel, which is wonderful, and our app as well. We are just a minute away from getting started. And, I have a little cold lingering, so I'm still not going to chant Shalom today, but feel free to do so. Hopefully tomorrow everything will come back to normal. But for now, just find comfortable sitting position. Let go of everything you've been doing up until now. And you may close your eyes or decide to meditate with your eyes open. If you do that, I recommend that you let your eyes just rest, let's say 5 feet in front of you. Don't look at anything in particular. Just let your gaze just even kind of become blurry. Just resting, not looking at anything in particular, not focusing on anything. But if your eyes are closed, either way, turn your attention to the breath. And as always, take this first few seconds to deeply relax and to let go of any tension anywhere. Though I'm not going to chant Shalom quite yet today, we can still set an intention, a kavanah for our practice, as always. To hold ourselves in the energies of Shalom, of peace and wholeness, harmony. That we might recognize awakened awareness right now for the greatest good of all being. I've been meditating over the weekend on a sentence from one of my favorite rabbis, Rabbi Rami Shapiro. A sentence that I probably plucked out of one of his many books. Don't ask me which one. And he writes, I don't think my thoughts. My thoughts think me. I don't think my thoughts. My thoughts think me. And I don't know why it's been continuously on my mind over the last few days. Sorry. But I'm deeply connected to the truth of it. That the me that we think ourselves to be is in fact created by our thoughts. But perhaps this meditation, I want to practice trying to discover who my true sense of self may be if I don't think myself. If I don't think myself into imagining that I am the thoughts. So the practice is quite simple, but it is quite powerful at the same time. The invitation, as always, is to focus on the breath. And today we're going to count 10 breath cycles. A breath cycle is inhaling, exhaling. I'm going to try to count up until 10. And if when we get to 10, we start again at 1. Very simple instructions. We've done this several times. Observing the breath coming in and the breath going out. At the end of the out breath, count 1. To stay more focused, some people like to actually say 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 as the body breathes in, and then 1, 1, 1 as the body breathes out. Just to keep the mind really connected, really on point. You could also say breathing in 1, breathing out 1, whatever you need to do. And you do that and you count until 10. And when you reach 10, you come back at 1. Now don't try to change your breath. As always, just simply observing the breath as it is. Don't try to get into this competitive mode. Just relax. Relax, but be sharp in your observing. So here's the difficult part. The difficult part is that outside of the thought, breathing in, breathing out, you cannot let yourself be distracted at all. Not any rumbling about the meditation, not any other thought. And if you find yourself distracted by any other thought, simply go back to one. And it's practice, it's training ourselves. Our sages teach us that once we are able to really focus on the breath without distraction, counting 10 3 times, then things are starting to progress deeply in our meditation. But again, I'm not saying that so you would compete with yourself to achieving anything. Let's just try to get to 10. And be brutally honest with your practice and with yourself. Again, we're trying to build a muscle here. When you discover that your mind has wandered and you've been thinking, just say to yourself, thinking, and come back to the breath. Come back to one. Maybe you get to two, maybe you get to three, and then the mind wanders again. When you find out, when you realize what has happened, thinking, come back to the breath, come back at one. Now, it may happen that though you are in the foreground, focusing on the breath, the mind, who is very clever, is going to capture the background. And so you may be counting, but then you realize that you're at 12 and then 13 and then 14. That's when you realize that the background has taken over the foreground. And just come back to one. The goal is to discover who we are beyond thoughts, beyond the narrator. Remember to not beat yourself up. This is just practice. Sometimes you may get to 3 or 4, maybe 5. Sometimes you start again and you get to 2 or 3 and you start again and you start again. And just start again. Be mindful of the inner dialogue. Stay compassionate toward yourself. This is practice, that's all. Nothing more. Breathing in, breathing out. And gently we let go of our practice. Taking a couple of deeper breaths, perhaps, and letting the body stretch if it needs to do so. And this is a good practice from time to time to check in how the mind is able to settle or not. And some days the mind is going to be more agitated than others, depending on the diet that we have fed it. These days it's so easy to be preoccupied with the world of mind. So many stories. And we'll close today, even though I will not be chanting. Sharing in whatever we have received to be for the greatest good of all beings. May all beings find the shalom, the peace, the wholeness, the harmony, as we might as well in our lives, in our hearts, and in our world. Modani. Thank you all.
Johnny, be well.
Thank you.
Bye,
Moda
everybody.
Ani. Moda Ani, thank you.
Mother Anna.
Annie, get well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ani, take care.
Shavavatu.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Feel better.